there are actually a couple of questions with regards to this. Maybe let me just try and link everything. The firstly is like on Silterra, what is the rationale behind the bidding of Silterra? And what is the competitive advantage of Silterra as compared to other wafer foundry? Like, what is their capability right now? Can they do like 7 nanometer chips? And on the thirdly is, what are the chances of you winning the bid? Fourth, what can BumiTech bring to the table that shareholders like Khazanah couldn't, which will allow Silterra to be finally a profitable company? And lastly is, if let's say you get Silterra, what's the plan for it, and how is BumiTech going to fund this? I know that from recent news, this would be linked to the BumiTech fund, so perhaps you can also touch on that as well. Sorry for having too many questions. I'm just trying to cramp everything into one.
Yeah, let me attempt to try to address them, and then Kay and Siti can also jump in. Silterra is actually a very important part of the Malaysian E&E ecosystem, right? It is the only wafer fabrication company in Malaysia that can produce 350,000 wafers in a year. Now, you mentioned about 7 nm, and it's interesting because we are not going into that space. Silterra works on a 8-inch wafer, and the 8-inch wafer is very in demand right now because of AI and IoT, right? And so the sensing technology, the power logic and all that, that is where the 8-inch actually plays very well in. So we're not competing with the Koreans or the Taiwanese in the most bleeding edge of technology, which goes into MEMS, it goes into your cell phones and all that. We're not going to the space, but we're going into the AI IoT space, which is a very fast growing space. So it's really sweet spot. And Silterra is also located in the northern corridor where Kulit is, and then there's Bayan Lepas, there's Batu Kawan and all that. Now, we are co-investing together with domestic and foreign partners that are able to bring value to Silterra by bringing the value chain. So, for example, when we have the foreign partners coming in to do product design, they can tap into the IC designer pool in the northern corridor, which amounts to about 4,000 to 5,000 of them. Then we have the entire Silterra place in the front end in terms of wafer fabrication and the production of microchips, and we have a fantastic back end. Normally, we don't mention names of the other people, but your names like Great Tech, JF Franken, Inari Emerson, Amelus, they all play in the back-end space. So we feel very confident that if we are able to bring the network, the demand from the overseas market into the northern corridor, then Silterra will be able to optimize its utilization very quickly, and then we need to go into some technology refresh so that we can continue to play very well in the AI and the IoT space. What is our chance? We believe that we'll put in a very competitive bid. We obviously, for confidential reasons, we cannot disclose what the structure or the pricing of the bid is, but we're very confident because the bid, as we know it, is extremely competitive. What we bring to the table that perhaps the current owners are not able to is, like I mentioned, we bring in the demand, we bring in the people who want to do the product design. They are able to tap on our talent here, they are able to tap on our value chain, and we are able to bring and grow the entire system. So maybe the current set of owners does not have the connection and the network to be able to do that, but we certainly can do that. In terms of funding, like you rightly mentioned, this is being the bid is through the BumiTech fund, and because it's going through a fund, our direct interest in the bid itself is not as large as people think it is. But nonetheless, we bring in the local understanding, we bring in foreign partners, we bring in other strategic local partners, and together we will be able to grow that ecosystem. And when we grow that, it is extremely positive for the country, for the E&E sector, for the semiconductor sector, and for the GDP of the country as well.
Can I just have a follow-up question to the BumiTech fund, Mr. Khoo? And perhaps after that, you can maybe chip in as well. So on the BumiTech fund, right? Can you explain a little bit more about the fund's purpose? I know that the media article have mentioned quite a bit, but perhaps we would like to hear it from yourself as well. And what is the planned role for GPACKET under this fund? How much are you willing to commit to the fund? Is it the 100 million which is mentioned? And how is this portion will be funded by GPACKET? And what is the planned ROI, for the investment in the fund? And lastly, has the fund or GPACKET identified any other potential investment for this? Because is there actually enough Bumi players in this space, or is the fund a bit too restricted in its investment criteria?
Okay, so the first tranche of the fund is we're targeting 500 million. Our commitment to the fund as the sponsor partner is 100 million. We will not go beyond 20%, and we are inviting other partners to come in. This can be foreign, and this can be Malaysian public sector funds as well, because it will be good to have public sector and the private sector collaborating together. In terms of the target potential investee companies, there is about 18.5% of tech-listed company on Bursa Malaysia that may be ideal investee companies, because these are companies that may have for a long time relied on concession. They have global ambitions. They want to play in the regional space. But that ambition is not necessarily matched with the capacity and the capital that they have. So we are able to bring in our professional capacity as well as the capital to upscale them. And we are looking at a 20 to 25% return over a 5-year period. And the idea is that eventually, because this is a fund, we will exit. And therefore, it is in our interest to put our skin in the game, put in the professional capacity, scale them up, and exit with a profit of about 2.5 times.
Yeah, maybe just to add on a little bit, Rondi, in terms of the fund, when we envisioned this fund, it was really a technology focus. I think we are out and out technology company. Over our history, we managed to build our own technology. We are part of the entire technology ecosystem in the TMT space. And like CC mentioned earlier, the global tech giants actually come to us to look at, having us being the conduit for ASEAN expansion. So when we have all these ingredients in place, and rightly so, that you mentioned earlier, we are so diverse, we have so many things. We cannot continue to keep doing so many things, right? So we decided, hey, let's build a fund, and not only do we then bring capital to the investee companies that we envision to bring them towards ASEAN regionalization, we will also bring technology partnership. We will also bring the community around this technology to them, so that we can also help them scale. So that's a two-pronged approach, both capital contribution and also technology contribution. Yeah, so that's the idea and the purpose of the fund. And like Ku mentioned, why Bumiputra? I think in Malaysia you do have very good companies in Malaysia. They are quite focused in this part of the world, and Malaysia has actually encouraged a lot of these companies via a PPP partnership, right? And this same model, this same tech, it can be value added, so that with the rest of the other cutting edge tech that we bring to other parts of ASEAN at least.